This is a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado just west of Highway 167, right along, that includes Union Parish too. So Union, Claiborne parishes in Union County, right along Highway 167. Here's Junction City, 167 going to El Dorado. So that is a new tornado warning that's just popped up on the screen. That goes until 7:30. So now 3 different active tornado warnings across northern Louisiana and southern Arkansas. Again, just caution folks and urge folks to take proper tornado precautions. Get to your safe place now. Switching to just a different radar vantage point, there's our possible area of rotation just to the southwest of Bernice. Basically going to run parallel to Highway 167. If you're on 167, get off the road. Again, storm is west of 167 right now. Can't guarantee that it'll stay there. So please be in your safe place. The northwestern sections of our viewing area in the Claiborne Parish, there's still an area right here where I mentioned kind of the dead zone where there's not a lot of reds, but there's a stop of the greens. Still an area that we would have to monitor, so please stay sheltered if you're in those spots. Let's go back to the Lincoln, Ouachita, Jackson, Union tornado warning. And again, with this being so close to our radar site, we can probably have the best vantage point. And there is our area right there. And I'm going to zoom in on this again as we get a new swipe.
We did get a new update for that storm.
Okay, you want to read it? Go ahead and read it.
It's located 11 miles southeast of Ruston, currently moving north at 40 miles per hour.
Yeah, this is our spot right here. And again, when you go back to a traditional radar screen, our what we call the reflectivities mode would be this area right here, moving to the north. We'll be moving close to Shudrint and interests along I-20 here in the next 15 minutes or so. And again, you've had quite the heads up. There's a look at some of the shear returns and showing some of the shear in the atmosphere associated, the twisting of the winds that indicate strong winds or possible tornado associated with this now Jackson Parish storm. That warning includes a lot of other areas, including Ouachita Parish, Union, and Lincoln parishes as well. So again, be aware of that storm. There's another storm south. Another 2 clusters of storms south that we'll have to watch. Even the stuff moving into portions of LaSalle Parish, we're going to have to watch that. Anything that really pulses up with any kind of intensity has the potential to start spinning, especially, again, for storms that are kind of parallel to Beryl's circulation here, where the environment and the wind shear is kind of maximized here in the short term. Switch back over to the National Weather Service in Shreveport, and let's go hyper local. And again, this is just to the southwest of Bernice. And I just want to, again, it's kind of like that same spot where Highway 2 meets 167, just to the south of Highway 2, Wilson Road. Trying to read some of the Sharon communities on the far left-hand side of your screen. And again, here's Bernice.
State Road 2 as well, just west of Bernice, as well as Wilson Road, and Hunt Plant Road is towards the north.
So here's Road Minnie Place, and then Hunt Plant Road. Here is our rotation, which has strengthened in the last radar scan.
We also have a new tornado warning coming out for Columbia, Arkansas.
All right. I would assume that's going to be for this circulation here, moving into Columbia County. So we'll just wait for the red box to pop up. There are numerous tornado warnings unfolding across the region. And again, the only thing I can really tell you is we're going to continue to pinpoint out as specific as we can get with each one of these storms, and we'll just kind of rotate back and forth. We go from one to the other to the other. I believe it's actually for this circulation here. Yeah, that's a new tornado warning basically over the old one. And so a new cell has moved through that area that is prompting tornadic concerns, or it's just that same existing one. But either way, a new tornado warning has been issued for Columbia County. And again, you can see the possible tornado here. Again, it doesn't look like much on radar, but not a lot of these signatures haven't looked like much at times. And then next thing you know, we've got radar confirmed tornadoes and things of that nature. And that's kind of what the day has been. Right along the Union Claiborne Parish line, just west of Highway 167. That's probably our strongest possible tornado signature at this point. Still continuing to monitor the storm as it approaches Shudrint, I-20 and along Highway 80. Just again, some of the other communities, we're talking Downsville eventually, and some of the surrounding areas, the Douglas community and some of those spots as we go through the next 20 minutes or so. There's our, one tornado warning was allowed to expire at 7. The new one's out until 7:30. So it basically replaces the old tornado warning that we had for essentially the exact same area. Tornado watches in effect till 10 or midnight for a good chunk of the viewing area. Just depends on your location. Again, there are some areas that are not under a tornado watch and may not see much of anything associated with Beryl, but the western half of the viewing area is kind of right in the thick of it, to be honest with you, as we go through this afternoon and now move into the evening hours.
We can switch over to mine if you want to discuss street names for the Union Parish and the Lincoln Parish tornado warnings. The couplet for the Union Parish storm in particular, just west of Bernice, has a tighter couplet. The reds and greens have shown brighter indices lately. So that's just south of Weldon as of this hour, and that's just southeast of Hunt Plant Road. And it's crossing currently a State Road 2, and again, it is just south of Weldon, that community. And next would be the Cramer Road and Barber Creek Road, and that's for the Union Parish communities as well. And that's just west of 167. If we move past back down to the storm and the Jackson Parish, Washtenaw Parish, Lincoln Parish storm, the overall radar and the indices relative to it, it doesn't have as big of a couplet as it did previously. But what we can see here is the Cartwright, the Shudrint communities as well as Douglas. Those are all locations that need to be in their safe places. This warning did get extended until 7:30, and this particular storm, again, is moving at 40 miles per hour. So a lot of these storms are quick moving, and if we go back to the storm towards the north, again, the newest one, this particular storm has had, or this particular area has had numerous tornado warnings reissued for it. And in particular, it was noted just west of Macedonia. So Hunt, Harmony, Sharman, we've said those names of those communities several times today, especially Hunt, Harmony, Macedonia, and those roads near Columbia Road 24. So again, you have to, again, get into your safe place. Don't let storm fatigue get in the way of your storm safety. Don't think just because, oh, it didn't affect me last time I was in a warning that it won't affect me this time. That's not the case, and that's not going to be the case ever. If you are ever in a tornado warning, get into your safe place. We just got a new radar update. So again, that warning hasn't really moved as of the last update. It has moved more northwest than last time near Sharman, and that's what we're expecting it to go. It's moving about 35 miles per hour. So again, this one is a slower moving storm in comparison to the two warnings that are in Louisiana. And we can take a step and look at the one, again, in Union Parish, and this will be crossing into the Weldon community currently across State Road 2. So Cramer Road and Hunt Plant Road is already past Hunt Plant Road. So Cramer Road, Barber Creek Road, those are all areas, if that sounds familiar to you, even Summerfield off towards the northwest, those are all locations that need to start taking their safe place. And even further south with the last storm near the I-20 corridor, that couplet with the last scan, you can finally see where it's at. It's just south of Longstraw near Taylor Road at this time, I believe, if you agree. That's where that would be. And it's starting to hug the western side of that polygon. So we have 3 warnings that we're tracking across the area. And if we look at the reflectivity, you can see that this is the center of Beryl right here. So as it continues the entire storm to move in the northeastern direction, eventually behind it, the overall activity will start to decrease behind these storms that we're seeing, but there is a secondary line back behind it. But as of this hour, we're keeping our eyes on the activity, but these are the only 3 warnings in effect, period, tornado warnings rather, but they're also the only 3 in our area as well.
Okay, so let's go back to Lynx 1, and we can, this is a different vantage point of the same storms that Alex was just talking about. But also on that note, the National Weather Service in Shreveport is going to locally extend our tornado watch that goes until 10 p.m. And that is now going to include, and just getting it, has now been extended to include Ouachita, Caldwell, and LaSalle parishes. So 3 new parishes added to the already existing tornado watch. So those 3 parishes, again, Caldwell, Ouachita, LaSalle, will all be included in the new tornado watch until, or in the current tornado watch until 10 p.m. It's not a new watch, just kind of a local extension of the one that we already had in place. Still monitoring our storm as it makes its way north of I-20 and north of Highway 80 in eastern sections of Lincoln Parish and far northern reaches of Jackson Parish, perhaps even far western reaches of Ouachita Parish and southwestern Union Parish. But again, I'm not necessarily seeing anything as glaringly obvious as there was earlier with that storm. Still seeing the possible tornado running kind of parallel to the Caldwell Union line, just west of the parish line, continuing to trail off to the north, but our possible tornado is kind of just hugging the parish line, if you will. We'll approach the state line here shortly, Junction City, and a lot of folks along Highway 167 will be in the path of that one. And then again, we go back to our Columbia County storm, which I'll be honest with you, it's been kind of tough to see anything from this particular circulation, but a tornado warning remains in effect for the western half of the viewing area. And just because I say that I can't see something doesn't mean that there's no threat. Again, radars are imperfect pieces of technology, and in fact, on that note, now this is a radar confirmed tornado. So a tornado now on the ground in essentially the very similar area to where we had it earlier today, but it's a little bit farther eastward in northeastern sections of Caldwell, Claiborne Parish and Western Union Parish, confirmed tornado on the ground. When that warning turns purple, it means it is indicated, confirmed, excuse me.
It's located approximately 7 miles south of Junction City, and it's moving again at 40 miles per hour. So if you are in that flashing purple box, not red, it's purple now, meaning that it has been confirmed and it has been radar confirmed, you have less time than you typically would to get into your safe place. You have minutes. You don't have a long time, so grab whatever you need, head to the bathroom, head to the hallway, head to your safe place, and get there now. That way you can be safe. In terms of the actual...
I've got the correlation coefficient pulled up, and so you can see that...
right near Weldon.
Yeah, just to the north of the Weldon community. It is not the super dark, bold blues or greens, but it's definitely enough that you can consider that a radar-confirmed tornado. And as we get the new circulation and the new radar swipe, again, we've said it so much today that if you're looking at the radar, and a lot of us know what we're looking for, and there's a lot of weather hobbyists and amateur meteorologists and folks of that nature that we know the reds and greens, and you could pull up an app and look at the radar and typically know what you're kind of looking for. But with these low top, quick spinning tornadoes, it's so much more difficult. And then on that note, this particular storm, the tornado appears to be rain wrapped, so you wouldn't see it anyway. So make sure that you just heed the warning. Get to your safe place, interior portion of your home, away from windows and doors. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. This Lincoln Parish storm is taking on a little bit of a different shape, if you will. And it's still showing that area of rotation, also faint, but there, southwest of Shudrin. And I'll switch over to our live storm tracker Doppler radar, which should have a better vantage point. It's not really seeing much, but again, if you're in this area, this possible tornado passing between Shudrin and Ruston right along Highway 80 and I-20, again, there very well could be a tornado forming or has already formed in this particular area. So again, if you're in the path of any of these storms, act quickly but calmly and get to your safe place, interior portion of your home, hallway, closet, bathroom, lowest level, and put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Think about you're just essentially playing hide and seek from a tornado. The more walls you have, the better off you are, and interior portion of your home is the best way to go.
I will say with the latest update on the Shudron and Russon tornado warning, it's still moving at the same speed at 40, so it's still moving quick.
Yeah, so very fast-paced thunderstorms, and these cells that are starting to pop up as we get within this main line, these main cells are starting to kind of shrink down in coverage, but that doesn't mean that the wind environment is decreasing. So we're losing daytime heating. They're not flourishing as much in our environment in terms of their coverage and their intensity, but the wind environment associated is still very much present. And in fact, probably at one of its strongest points that we've seen, at least in our area so far today. So we continue to watch this line here and this line here, and while nothing is really developed yet, as those storms start to crawl northward, they will be cause for concern. And I'm talking about like an area like this, and I'll switch over to the radar. And for folks that are probably getting sick of us standing in front and clicking all the buttons, again, it's just easier just to kind of keep tabs on everything from right here on the screen. We'll watch that area of rotation. Doesn't look like much, and I've said that so much today, but just trying to draw attention to the fact that a lot of these areas won't take much to really get going. Looking at the lightning flashes associated with it, there's not a lot of lightning associated with these storms, which really means that they're almost becoming purely tropical in their overall scope and structure. Earlier today, it was almost like they were a hybrid of summertime thunderstorms with heat and instability, and they were a cross between that and a tropically driven kind of supercell. Now they're almost purely tropically driven because we're starting to lose that daytime heating. Again, these are all weather lessons that may not be that important to you, but it is important to the entire scope and scenario of what we're dealing with. And to be honest, when you've been on, when you've been providing this kind of coverage, and we've been talking about it for 5 hours straight, you're really just, to be honest with you, at this point, looking for the end. You're looking for the end point. When is this all going to go away? Because we get sick of this and being on TV just as much as you get sick of dealing with the severe weather. So to be honest, we're just looking at where's the end point to all of this, and it's still probably at least a couple of hours away, if not into early Tuesday morning, before we can really say with any high degree of confidence that the severe weather threat is starting to lift out of our area. Quick check of that Shudron storm. Now, again, looks like it has crossed Highway 80 and I-20. Will continue to make its way northward toward Dubach, Farmerville, and some of these surrounding areas. Neither one of those towns is under the tornado warning, but keep an eye on it. The radar confirmed tornado as I switch over to a different look. It looks like it's right in the central portions of the radar scan, and it looks like the Weather Service may have switched to a different scan, and so we're not getting as good a look. I would say it would be right in this area right here, just looking at the overall structure of the storm as it moves off to the north and east, but or north and west. But also, to be honest with you, it was rain-wrapped essentially earlier. So again, this is where the point where we say, if you're under a warning, go to your safe place, ask questions later. Turn up your phone real loud, turn up your TV real loud, charge your cellular devices so you'll have a way of receiving alerts in the event that you lose power. But these are all things to keep in mind as these storms continue to progress through the viewing area.
Our radar velocity has a decent view of the couplet.
Of which one?
The confirmed in Claiborne Parish. Or it's decent. It's better than the previous one in Shreveport.
Yeah. We've got stuff going on in this area. As we approach we passed the 7 o'clock hour for folks in Union and Washita parishes, still tracking this this storm capable of producing a tornado. It would be in this area right here. Where our possible tornado would be, and that kind of coincides with the reds and greens kind of combined, not the glaringly obvious tornado signature is what we call it as it moves northward. But again, warning remains in place. Heed the warnings, ask questions later in terms of as these warnings are issued. It's just they're so fast developing and fast moving. And on that note, as I move the radar screen around a little bit dizzying, keep an eye on these storms right here as they move northward. Ruston, Shudrint, Downsville, a lot of these areas, you may not have seen your last tornado warning of the evening. And I'll go ahead and recenter before I step off screen. But you folks may not have seen the last of the active tornado warnings in your area. So again, I just want to stress to folks that don't let your guard down. If you're under a watch, you're under a watch for a reason, and make sure that you're practicing your tornado safety protocol. Have your severe weather plan in place and always be ready to use it. We get tornado warnings so frequently during the springtime months. Summertime, July, you usually don't see them unless there's something tropical related, and that's what's unfolding this evening.
And I want to remind folks that the end is in sight regarding the threat for severe weather this evening. We only have 3 tornado warnings on the screen now compared to the quite literally 12 earlier, not even 2 hours ago. So we're seeing a decline in activity, and it's now 7:16. So a new advisory of Beryl should have come out not too long ago regarding its overall structure and direction and intensity and whatnot. And we can take a look at that later. But regarding the storms that we're seeing now, again, the Lincoln Parish storm, it has crossed the I-20 corridor. So areas like in the Dubach and Farmerville communities, as aforementioned, those are now who need to start thinking ahead. The entire plan for this evening is not per se what is exactly happening now. Of course, if you're in a warning, think about what's happening now. But if you are not in a warning, you need to think ahead of what may occur later this evening. The watches go into effect or are still in effect for a good portion of the region until 10 p.m. and until midnight. So it's 7:17 now. We have a few more hours until the threat is completely over for the majority of the area. And so as we continue, it's important to remember that, again, this is a marathon and not a sprint that we're tracking for the majority of the area as we continue to monitor this. Now, regarding the Lincoln Parish storm, the tornado warning for the Columbia County storm did get canceled early.
That's good.
Which is good news. The area of rotation looked to be pretty weak earlier.
Also of note, Beryl is now officially down to a tropical depression. Maximum sustained winds at 35 miles per hour. Center is located 30 miles southeast of Tyler, Texas, and continuing to move off to the northeast at about 16 miles per hour. So again, a pretty decent forward pace of a storm that should undergo its extratropical or post-tropical transition tomorrow. I'm not going to get into the specifics of what that means, because to be honest with you, it's not that important for what we're dealing with right now. But we will see this storm go from a tropical system to your normal, well, not even a normal mid-latitude cyclone, because it's not, but essentially like a hybrid post-tropical, subtropical system. And then eventually we will become a post-tropical remnant low and kind of take on more of the characteristics of a mid-latitude cyclone. But anyway, as you take a look at the shear values with these 2 storms, and again, the organization is not where it was 20 or 30 minutes ago, but I just caution folks, please just stay sheltered, be in your safe place, follow the rules of severe weather, and just be smart. The heavier downpours that are also starting to unfold across the area, there's going to be some blinding rainfall along I-20 with that tornado warning. I know it doesn't look like much on radar, but again, it's copious amounts, unlimited amounts of moisture. So again, where most storms will just kind of rain themselves out and be gone, these will not do that, because they have so much moisture to work with. Quick check of our live storm tracker Doppler radar, and again, still seeing an area of rotation that's approaching the Lincoln Union line. I'm just going to zoom in real close. This is near the Downsville area. Again, I cannot say with any certainty that a tornado has formed or is forming, but the structure would still support the possibility of a tornado in this area. I'll circle it right here. In this area right here.
So it has passed already the I-20 corridor and the Shudrint and Ruston locations, the higher populated areas. So you're still residing in the box.
It's also making its way toward Farmerville, though. So
right. So Farmerville, you are not in the warning box yet, so you need to start thinking ahead about you getting into your safe place soon. But again, if you're closer to the I-20 corridor, like in Shudrint or Ruston, or even closer to the other side of the warning box, again, you are the area of rotation is further north of your area as of this hour.
All right, so a quick scan of our live storm tracker Doppler radar shows that do two different tornado warnings as we work deeper into the 7 o'clock time frame. I also acknowledge that we're getting into our prime time programming on NBC 10 and Fox 14, and I know that it's usually very unpopular for us to be on air. Again, I can assure you, 5+ hours. We don't want to be on the air any more than you want us to be on the air, but we have active tornado warnings and a very fast-moving situation. These storms develop quickly and they fizzle quickly, and we're optimistic that as we approach maybe the 7:30 time frame that maybe we don't need additional tornado warnings. But then you start turning attention toward this little area right here and the storms off to the south. And we really haven't been successful in going an extended period of time. I think we went a minute and a half without a tornado warning in our viewing area over the last 5 hours. And it is quite frustrating for viewers in the eastern sections of the viewing area that aren't seeing anything. I totally understand that. But the problem is we're seeing some periods of very heavy rainfall and a fast-moving, evolving system with a landfalling tropical system. What was Tropical Storm Beryl? What was Hurricane Beryl at one point, now down to a tropical depression. And every tropical system is different. While we are not seeing the direct impacts like we did with Gustav and with Isaac and with Laura and with Delta, we saw the sustained tropical storm force winds. Never really had much of a tornado threat, but we have had them before with Ike and with Hannah. Those are 10, 15 years ago, but they are instances where we get caught in just that right position in proximity to the storm center that the conditions become favorable, especially with a summertime environment that will allow for the occasional thunderstorms that can and will produce tornadoes. We've had a lot of radar confirmed tornadoes on the ground today, kicking up debris and things of that nature. Go ahead, Alex.
This is also one of the earliest June-July storms to form. So even though we are officially in the summer months of the year, we're still feeling some of the, per se, spring effects, especially in our area of the country, that we don't have a lack of severe weather, especially on the Arklamis during this time of year.
Yeah, you still have that warm, humid, unstable air. You just usually don't have cold fronts strong enough to sweep through that really tap into that environment. You get a tropical system to come through, which kind of creates its own environment, and it taps into that environment, and the next thing you know, you've got stuff that we're dealing with currently. Still watching this Union, Lincoln, Ouachita Parish storm, although it looks as though the warning has been canceled or trimmed away for western Ouachita Parish, and still continuing to watch the surrounding areas to the south and west, the south and east, as these cells continue to just kind of do their own thing. Again, watching the storm as it now starts to approach the state line. I think the National Weather Service and Shreveport's radar will probably have a better vantage point at this. But yeah, there's still an area of rotation that's approaching the state line west of Highway 167. This was radar confirmed at one point. I would venture to say it's not necessarily a radar confirmed tornado anymore, but when the warning was initially issued, it was radar confirmed. So again, just take the warning seriously. Also, as you look at these tornado warnings, they're large tornado warnings, and tornadoes impact a small area. There are a lot of folks that live through tornado warnings, numerous dozens of tornado warnings, and never see a tornado. That's, again, the margin of error that is created and used to help keep people safe during tornado warnings is, yeah, tornadoes only impact a sliver of an area as a tornado forms. Same with severe thunderstorm warnings. You may live through hundreds of severe thunderstorm warnings and never truly encounter a severe thunderstorm with the 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts. And so when folks do encounter it, it's quite frightening because you've been under the warnings for so long. Again, as Alex mentioned, kind of storm fatigue. We've done this before. No big deal. But every storm is different. And while you may not feel the full impacts from one storm, all it takes is one. And that's usually the memorable one for a lot of folks. And I'm not trying to scare folks, but it's just the kind of the real nature of severe weather. We get a lot of warnings in this area. And for lack of a better term, a lot of them go by the wayside and people go, that's it? That was all we got? Well, yeah, that's how these warnings are issued, and we again just have to paint with a broad brush sometimes. Still monitoring this area of circulation that's now moving into southern Union Parish, and then we also still have an area just above the banner here. I'll take that down. This area right here, still watching a lot of stuff, but the warned storm is headed toward, I believe that's the Darbone community, and yeah, moving to, I believe that's the Farmerville Highway, so moving from Farmerville to Ruston. So again, just be mindful of what you're going to be dealing with as these storms continue to progress off to the north. Still 2 active tornado warnings and a tornado watch, 2 different tornado watches out, one till 10, one till midnight, as tropical depression Beryl's impacts on the Arklamis continue to become slightly more widespread this evening. Again, watch these bands. Additional warnings may be needed from those at any time. A new tornado warning actually out for the I-30 corridor in a northern and, into central sections of Arkansas. So again, it shows the wide scope of what we've been dealing with through the evening. We are approaching the 7:30 time frame, and aside from those 2 warnings, if both of them are allowed to drop at 7:30, then we will hopefully be able to send you back to your primetime programming on NBC 10 and Fox 14. Our Facebook Lives will stop at that time as well. But I want to urge and encourage folks, or warn folks, however you want to take it, that if a new warning is issued for our viewing area, if a new tornado warning is issued, we will jump right back into programming as needed. The other thing to keep in mind is the last time we left you for severe weather programming, we were off the air for about a minute and a half, and then we had to come right back on. So I just want to preach patience for a lot of the viewers who are, again, on a Monday night in the middle of summer, probably just want to watch their favorite game show or what have you tonight. I'll also say that some of them are reruns, so that's a little bit of good news too. I'm not trying to be a spoiler, but just letting you know that some of what you're seeing, you've probably already seen. A quick check of the storm relative velocities. Again, this storm starting to exit. This storm also starting to exit its warning box as we approach 7:30. Still monitoring this area to the northwest of Farmerville. Fingers crossed that we start seeing a downward trend in a lot of this activity over the next little bit. But also, as I step off screen for at least a short period of time, I want to redraw the tornado watches that remain in effect. You'll see them on the bottom of your screen scrolling, but just a reminder of the tornado warnings that are currently in effect.
As of right now, again, these are the only 2 warnings in the entire Arklamis that we're tracking, and they both expire in less than 5 minutes. They expire at 7:30, and we have tracked this particular area of storms for quite some time, especially the area just south of El Dorado and Claiborne Parish. That particular region has received numerous amounts of active tornado warnings in that vicinity. And as we continue to monitor the continuation of the bands of Depression Beryl as it continues to move throughout the area this evening and even early tomorrow morning, it's important to note that you need to have your warnings alert to where you can hear them tonight, because after these 2 warnings end, that is not the end of the potential for severe weather for this evening. So make sure that your warnings are on and loud and are able to wake you up if needed as we continue our evening, because the watches go effect or still in effect until 10 p.m. and midnight, correct?
Right. So yeah, I wanted to bring that map up real quickly before we wrap up and hopefully wrap up and go back to our regular programming. But here's a look at our tornado watches that are now issued until 10 p.m. Again, a local extension for Ouachita, Caldwell, and LaSalle parishes. So a lot of you folks probably got that alert on your phone here in the last half hour or so, and you're probably thinking, I thought we weren't under a tornado watch. Well, you weren't. Now you are, and you'll be under one until 10 o'clock at least. There's also the opportunity for the National Weather Service, if needed, to locally extend this watch. So not only can they extend the distance, the counties and parishes included, they can also extend the time. The tornado watch for Ouachita, Calhoun, Bradley, and Drew counties in southern Arkansas, that goes until midnight. So you folks are going to have to pay attention a little bit longer. Have a way of receiving these alerts as we progress through the rest of the evening as we now hit the bottom of the 7 o'clock hour and kind of awaiting and just making sure that these tornado warnings go away like they're supposed to. And there they go. So for the first time in 5.5 hours, the ArkLaMiss has no tornado warnings. Continue to heed the watches, act quickly if a warning is issued in your area, exercise caution on the local roadways, especially where we've seen the heaviest rainfall so far this evening. We'll send you back to your regularly scheduled programming, and our social media coverage will end for now. We will return and resume if needed as we go through the rest of the evening. Stay tuned to NBC 10 and Fox 14. We'll keep you updated with the latest.
From NBC 10, this is a severe weather alert.